In this week's Torah portion, God tells Avraham, Lech Lecha, go. Leave. Leave your nation. Leave your birthplace. Leave your father's house. Now that's a tough test for anyone. But was it really a difficult test for Avraham? Let's consider the context. When Avraham was young, he realized there's got to be a God up there. There's no way that we got down here, animals and people and the earth and the galaxy, through chance, through happenstance. There has to be a creator. And he wants to spread the word about one God. And he also wants to convince people to stop worshiping those ridiculous idols. Problem is that his father is not only an idol worshiper, he's an idol maker. So Avraham becomes not merely a monotheist, believing in one God, but he also becomes an iconoclast, an idol destroyer. One day he walks into his father's workshop while his father's out and he destroys all the idols. His father comes home. And the Medrash records the conversation, something along these lines. His father says, Avraham, I left you in charge. What happened to all the idols? Avraham says, Dad, it was crazy. You know that one really big idol? He just flipped his lid. He picked up a hammer and he smashed all the other idols to pieces. His father says, Avraham, what exactly were you smoking while I was gone? What are you talking about? Idols don't have any strength. They don't have any power. That's not possible. Avraham says, Dad, respectfully, if idols don't have any strength and any power, then why do you worship them? His father says, all right, wise guy, I'm taking you to the king. And he drags him by his ear to Nimrod. And they appear before the king. The same King Nimrod who hasn't learned his lesson since his failed attempt to build a tower tall enough to go fight with heaven. Nimrod listens to the story. He says, Avraham, you don't believe in our idols? No. You believe in one God? Yes. Well, guess what, Avraham? It's your lucky day. Because today's the day we get to find out whether your God likes French fries. And he orders his men to take Avraham and throw him into a furnace. So they pick him up by the scruff of his neck. And they toss Avraham into a raging furnace. And he walks through it and comes out of it unscathed, to the astonishment of everybody watching. So I ask you, if you're young Avraham and you believe in one God, and you don't believe in idols, and everyone around you is worshiping idols, and your father is making idols, and God appears and says, get out of there, leave your nation, your birthplace, your father's house, aren't you running? What kind of a test is that? And yet it's reckoned as one of Abraham's tests, and a difficult one at that, because nurture, like nature, exerts a powerful influence on us. It's tough to leave our nation and our birthplace and our relatives and our father behind. But Avraham does it. He rises to the task. He's willing to turn in his passport, become a minority in an extraordinarily hostile world. And that's how we get that ability, that Jewish awareness, that Jewish stubbornness to remain a minority in the face of a hostile world, to remain a nation even when we don't have a common soil, when we're spread out across the world. We get that from Avraham. And yet we are still asked and told by God, Lech Lecha, you got to go out. You got to leave your nation and your birthplace and your father's house. So often we think that our parents' level of religious observance is a ceiling rather than a floor. We say, what do you want from me? I'm doing, everything or most of the things my parents are doing. I have to do more. What are you suggesting? My parents weren't good people? Your parents are great people. Your parents are tremendous people. But God wants more. He's telling you, Lech Lecha. And maybe that's why you get that little voice whispering in your ear when you're a teenager, thinking your parents don't know anything. You got to rebel. Maybe God wants you to rebel, but not against what your parents taught you with respect to your Judaism, but towards what they taught you. Rebel and do more. Parents don't get jealous of children. So you explain to your parents, I'm not running away from what you taught me. I'm running towards what you taught me. I want to do more. Because you're realizing that every single person in the world has a unique combination of skills and talents. And if they use them properly, they can and will and should find their specific place, their specific thing that they can add to humanity, that they can add to the Jewish people. But if you're going to be content to say, hey, that's my ceiling, don't ask me to do more than what happened in my area or in my house, God's asking you to do that. He's asking you to leave your comfort zone, to reach higher, to find your place, to find your specific contribution that you and only you can make.